What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and today I'm just talking to you. I'm talking to the community because we have been growing by leaps and bounds over the course of the past few months, and it's time that I address something that I have been wanting to do for a while. I want to make some changes here on the channel, and I want to be as transparent as possible with you all, and it feels like this kind of organic conversational video is the best way to do that. I want to get back to my roots because whenever I first started YouTube back in, I guess, 2012 at this point, going on around 9 years, I was making one-off videos. Everything started with Modern Warfare 3's theater mode. That's how I originally started making content because I wanted to highlight all of the impressive matches that I had, or if I got some kind of massive multi-kill, I would throw it up on the YouTube channel. And that really did kind of kickstart this passion for video. It kickstarted this passion for editing and for content creation, and things have just continued to snowball from there. And I have gone on to continue doing YouTube through high school, through college. Now that I'm in the workforce, I'm whole ass adult here with an apartment, and I'm still making YouTube content, and it's something that I will not stop doing. But in 2018, I got into podcasting with the Jam Pack Report, and that was actually kickstarted by my friend at Mr_Crunchberry, I think is the correct Twitch handle. But I was doing the show as a live stream originally by the name of Caffeinate. And so each and every morning I would wake up and we would caffeinate, where I brew a cup of coffee and we talk about the gaming news. And he said, hey, you should put this up on a podcast service. And Anchor.fm had just launched at that point. So I figured, hey, why not? Free podcast hosting. Let's go ahead and do it. And so over the course of the past 3 years or so, the amount of content that I have been making has just ramped up time and time again to where it became a daily gaming news podcast, and eventually that Caffeinate show evolved into the Jam Pack Report, and that became the channel itself. Now, you might have already noticed that I've changed some things this week. The channel is now called Jam Pack Sam. That is my handle on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff, because this is going to be a channel that is more focused on me and the videos that I want to make. Because when I look at industry leaders like Paris, when I look at industry leaders like Alana Pierce, they don't really have specific show channels. They just kind of do their own thing. And the more that I looked at that, and the more that I looked at my content, the more that I wanted to do that rather than my content. So the Jam Pack Report, after 3 fantastic years, actually over 3 years, is going to be coming to a close. Those podcast feeds are not going to be used anymore. I will not be rebranding that podcast feed. Of course, I have rebranded this channel since it is my main channel. But the Jam Pack Report podcast feed is going to exist in its own independent world, and it is going to be dormant for the time being. We could come back to it at some point in the future, but I am putting that project on ice for now, because I want to get back to making these more organic one-off videos. So throughout the week, whenever I'm feeling like there is a piece of news that I really want to dig into, you'll see a show thrown up on the channel. It's going to be something probably similar to this, pretty organic. It'll be more highly edited than what you have been seeing with the podcast, but it's something that I can do, and it would push me in a creative way that I haven't pushed myself in a while. That's why I originally started the podcast, is to be able to have a template that I plug into each and every day to where I can bake daily content creation easily into a full work week, into a full 40-hour work week. I can create 5 different podcasts and then 1 episode of The Drop. I want to break out of that mold. I want to get back to doing what I was doing in high school, but with the skills that I've gained over the years, with the presentation ability that I have gained, with the equipment that I have now. I feel like there is more that I can do there that's probably going to create more entertaining content for you all. When it comes to The Drop, that is my longest running show on the channel, and I've been doing it since 2015. 2021 marks 6 years of The Drop. I believe we started in October of 2015, and that show is not going away, but the cadence of it is changing. On a weekly basis, pretty big games come out, but I think that it might be better if we made it a monthly show to where I can say The Drop new games April 2021 or May 2021, and then you get to see what's coming out for that entire month and kind of plan it out week by week. On a weekly basis, especially during the winter time between the last week of the year and really February, the entire month of January tends to be pretty dry. I'm kind of digging deep to find little indie games and stuff to put in The Drop, and that's something that I still want to highlight. I do want to highlight indie games, but I'll be doing it in a bit of a different way. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But it's time for the drop to change cadence. So going forward, starting in June, that is going to be a monthly show. So you are going to be getting 12 episodes of the drop a year, and I'll try to go a bit more in depth on each game and kind of get a wider swath as well. So that gives me more time to kind of work on that video throughout the month rather than necessarily having to do it all in one day in a couple of hours. Again, it's about increasing the quality while decreasing the quantity, because quality means more than quantity. That is something that I have absolutely come to terms with, and that's against my nature, but I am getting used to it. But I do have something that I want to reveal today for you all, because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's time to go ahead and make that vision a reality. Exhibition, an Xbox podcast, launches today, and technically tomorrow, but episode 0 hits podcast feeds today. But towards the middle of last generation, I fell heavily in love with the Xbox One X and the Game Pass subscription model, and the more that I've paid attention to Microsoft, the more that I believe in what they are bringing to the table, because out of Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, 3 leaders in the gaming space, I think Microsoft is doing the most to push the industry forward and to build the future of gaming. What they do makes me very, very excited. And so I want that excitement to translate over into a podcast. So Exhibition, an Xbox podcast, is going to be hosted every single Sunday, and it's going to be weekly news, kind of similar to what you got with the Jam Pack Report, but I do want to expand what I do within that world of podcasting. A lot of the time, it will be the weekly news, but I do want to start having industry interviews and collaborating with other podcasters and content creators to expand not only my creative toolkit, but on top of that, to have legitimate conversations with others that are just as passionate about Xbox and about gaming and about the video game space as I am. That is what I have been wanting to do for a very long time, and it's time I put in the effort to make that happen. So, what is the new content schedule? On Sundays, you'll have an episode of Exhibition, an Xbox podcast. The first Tuesday of every month, you will find an episode of The Drop in your YouTube feed. And on top of that, throughout the month, you will find one-off videos from me talking about the hottest news in the gaming industry. Because let's all come to terms with the fact that there is always something to talk about. And I'm excited to push myself as a content creator and to try new things and experiment some, because I've been pretty complacent over the course of the past few years, and it's time to flip that script, switch things up, and start something new. And I'm excited to have you along for the journey. As always, thank you for the support. The channel recently hit 2,700 subscribers, which is an insane number. I know that it's dwarfed by so many channels around the world, but to think that 2,700 people have enjoyed my content and seen something that I have made is truly humbling, and I appreciate each and every one of you that comes back on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis just to watch what I have to say and to check in and see how things are going. It really does mean the world. But I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you for being a part of it, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.